But you're going to hear that in no circumstance is this a protective punishment for any child, and in particular, for a child who may have issues with trauma or a behavioral issue, that this is the worst possible thing that a parent could do.
Opening statements today in a trial we've been talking about since the beginning, since the arrest. It's the case involving the Ferriters, Timothy Ferriter on trial. His wife will be on trial separately for locking their adopted son in a box in the garage. There's the box. We spoke with the guy who built the box, and he became very suspicious when they wanted a lock that you could only lock from the outside. And then, he's like, wait, this is dangerous, and he called police. So it's in the garage. There's a bed in there, but there's no bathroom. There's a bucket instead, and then a camera to keep an eye on the child. This is crazy. These people had money. I mean, they had lots of money. The house is worth like $1 million, at least. That was before the boom down there in Palm Beach, Florida. So all along, we've been saying, how do you defend this? What is the defense? Well, today we found out during the opening statement from the defense. Let's listen.
You only have to make one determination in this case, and that is whether or not Tim Ferriter had the criminal intent necessary. That's it. Did he or did he not have the criminal intent? And that will be your guiding question throughout this case. This case is not about whether or not Tim Ferriter made the right choice, because I will be the first to tell you, the defense will be the first to tell you that he did not. But what it is about is the difficulty of parenting, right? Because bad parenting does not make somebody a criminal. For a very much lack of a better term, is wired this way. It is a function of brain development. And it's why the Ferriters continued to see patterns of behavior that would not stop. I want to take you through some of those patterns. Since he was a kid, had aggressive outbursts and tantrums.
Overruled for purposes of open.
His parents regularly received emails of him fighting at school, punching other kids, using profanity. At this point, had been hurting other kids at school. He had been engaging in dangerous behaviors. He's walking around at night, and they did not know if an infant could be safe with in the house. This is not some sort of secret life that they had for. Everybody knew that had behavioral issues. Everybody knew that Tim and Tracy were trying to get a diagnosis so that he could get appropriate help, and it never happened.
So that's the defense. If I had to sum up their defense from the opening statement, it's bad parent, worse child. Bad parent, what he did wasn't right, but that kid was like really, really bad. It was the only option we had left. We spoke to therapists, we went to doctors, we cut sugar out of his diet, we tried different medicine. Nothing helped. We didn't know what to do, so we built a box. Let's bring in our think tank. Judge Gail Byers, Rick King, Michael Sterling. We finally have the defense revealed. Rick, you're down there in Florida, aren't you? All right.
I am.
So the only thing, and I thought this was a good way for her to try to narrow the scope and everything. She said, all you need to focus on, folks, because what he did, I don't agree with, nobody agrees with, it was the wrong choice, was that his criminal intent, which they say he didn't have. Is that what the judge is going to instruct him on, criminal intent? How does that work?
Well, that's going to be part of it, but here's what I like about what she did. What I like about what she did was she changed the narrative. So the state gets on and they tell this entire story about, hey, what Mr. Ferriter did and what happened, the box and blah, blah, blah. They went on. And then the defense lawyer comes on and she talks about bad parenting and bad choices and what they went through, the things they did to try to adjust to protect the other children in the house, to protect the neighborhood, to protect themselves. And she changed the narrative. And when you can change the narrative and you can get the prosecutor to chase your narrative, then you win, because you're not chasing them, they're now chasing you. And they have to make sure that they chase down what you say. And I think she did a great job at doing that.
So you're saying there's a chance. Michael Sterling. Michael Sterling, the difficulty of parenting, you know, sometimes you have to just build a box in the garage.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that one, Vinny. But I mean, look, as a defense attorney, you've got to make the arguments, right? You've got to figure out something. And one of the things that I liked that what she did was she tried to build some rapport, some credibility with the jury by basically saying, we're not running away from the facts of the case. We're not running away from the fact that he made bad choices, that he was a bad parent, that he actually did this, right? So they're not saying, oh, he never locked him in the box. That never happened. That's not what they're saying. She's saying, you know, he did this. He made bad parenting decisions, but he didn't have the intent to do anything that was criminally negligent, criminally wrong, criminally reckless. So, I don't know if the jury's going to buy it. She probably knows the jury better than I do because she participated in jury selection and she knows what, who's sitting on that jury, how many parents are on that jury, how many uncles or aunts, how many people have, how many godparents on that jury. So she knows that jury well. And so it looks like she was trying to build some rapport, some credibility by not running away from the bad facts, embracing them, and then saying, I'll tell you what he did was wrong, but what I want to argue to you was that it was not criminal.
All right, Judge, I want to give you a little more ammo. Here's the daughter of Timothy Ferriter. This is the, I guess, the oldest child. This is their first child that they adopted. She testified. They have her in a separate room, so the audio's not great, but we also put up subtitles so you can kind of see what she's saying. Let's take a listen.
Are there times over the course of when you were living in Arizona that you ever saw your father, the defendant, be physically aggressive towards your brother?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
He would grab him by the back of the neck and just kind of haul him down to his room. That was the most common one that I saw.
Would you be able to see what was happening once they're down in the room?
Once they're in the room, no.
Would you be able to hear what is happening?
Yeah, I would hear the sound of contact, so like slapping or hitting or something. And then I'll hear my brother scream.
Okay, Judge, we heard what the defense had to say. We know what the prosecution case is. It's pictures of the box, what happened. It'll ultimately be the testimony of the victim in the case as well. What are your thoughts? Do you think the jury is going to narrowly look at this case the way the defense wants, or do you think they're going to look at the big picture and say, come on, a box with a bucket?
Vinny, here's what I'll tell you is just as judges, attorneys, witnesses, and everyone else in the room, we bring our whole selves to the courtroom. And for as much as you may want as a defense attorney to have those jurors look at that case and that narrow scope of just look at intent, I promise you, anyone that has a child in their life is going to come with that broad scope and that sensibility of what has my experience been like, either as a parent or a grandparent or an aunt, an uncle, a child care provider, in whatever way. And what I would caution against the defense, although I think they really did as good a job as they could under the circumstances, right? In kind of framing the discussion or the case more so around bad parenting, I would caution the overuse of that. It can sound or it can come across as victim blaming. But at the same time, remember, this bad parenting is going to be juxtaposed. If I were the prosecutor, my very next chance to address a witness or the court or the jurors would be, this is not a choice about bad parenting. This is barbaric parenting. The defense used the wrong B. This is barbaric. And why is it barbaric? Because everybody knows what it means to discipline a child, but to traumatize them and to harm them and then to blame them for the lack of emotional intelligence and self-control that parents should have when they are raising children cannot be attributed to this child. This lays flatly at the feet of the defendant. And so I would caution them to peel back a little bit on the, hey, just made some bad choices and this was bad parenting. In the eyes of an average, remember, these are regular, normal people, right? Jurors. We're plucking people off the streets with all their experiences, and we're telling them, trust what we tell you, and they're going to juxtapose that against their life experiences. And they're going to say, is this just bad or is this barbaric? Because I know the difference.
Yeah, these jurors are Rick's neighbors. That's who they are. That's who's going to be deciding this case. So whichever way it goes, folks. Check on him. By the way, he turned down a 24-month deal.
All right, excellent.
So when we come back, we've got a lot more to get to. This case with the box, though, I keep thinking about it. I said there has to be another way, another way. How about military school? How about military school?